Hello, Fae lovers. I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Peyton.
And today we have a super special guest star. This is my best friend, Victoria.
Hi.
All right, guys. So she is here today because for Christmas last year, I forced her to get back into fantasy reading by gifting her acotar and From Blood and Ash. And since then, she has read the entire acotar series. She is caught up. I am setting her on Throne of Glass next. But today we are going to go through the acotar characters and we're going to kind of rank which of these Fae babes we see at the top and the bottom.
All right, so join us for a cup of coffee as we dive in between these paper sheets.
Woo! All right. Let's do this.
All right, first things first, we are covering all of the acotar books.
Yes.
So if you have not read them, do not watch this video. Please go read them and come back, and then you can get all the juicy details and how we feel about all the characters. But if you go past this point, it will be spoiled for you. So please, flashing red, do not watch this video until you are prepared to talk about all the juicy details.
Yes, from acotar to Silver Flames, because I do think eventually more acotar books are gonna come.
Yes.
2 Silver Flames. We got tea to say about these characters.
This is a no. Don't watch if you haven't read them.
All right, guys, we are going to start off. We're going to rank all 10 characters that are like the main inner circle plus a few friends. And we are starting with Feyre. So, Victoria, where did you put Feyre on your list?
Right. I know Feyre's a fan favorite. Obviously, she's the main character. You have to love her. But I put Feyre at between 1 to 10. She's my number 5. Middle of the ground.
Okay.
She is an even 5. I feel like there are some characters that are better than her, that are more fun, that are more attractive. And there are definitely characters that are worse than her.
There's characters that can just fuck a little bit better, guys. So you have to take that into consideration.
Spicy.
That's a big factor.
I think that's completely fair.
I thought you were gonna rank her lower. So
I thought
5?
she was too.
Okay.
I was waiting for number
I'm feeling
8.
good about that.
When she read the first acotar book, she was telling me, she was like, I don't know. And I was like, the first acotar book, everyone's got like iffy feelings about. So you gotta propel a little bit more.
Yes.
All right, Peyton.
So, in a crazy, who would have thought, I have Feyre at number 5 as well. I really thought Victoria was going to rank her, at 8. So I was like, you know what? Maybe she is too high for... No, but Feyre is a 5 for me. Once you read through the books, after a while, you're like, you know what? You're a 5. Doesn't mean I do not hate Feyre at all. She's one of my favorite main characters personally, but I just once you get through the series, you're like, girl.
Yeah. She also, I feel like the fact that her books are the first person point of view and she's the I, I feel like this happens with a lot of main characters where the I becomes us, and so because the I has to be us, she can't get as much personality, because I can't imagine reading Nesta's book with the I being us. No, Nesta's opinions are not always my opinions, you know what I mean? But so it kind of fills in like that. I put Feyre at 3, put her up there.
Okay.
But
Pretty high.
I felt so firm in my top, firm in my middle and bottom, but in those sections people could move around, and I know 3 is the top 3, but it's honestly I could have switched her with 4 and 5. I feel like when I think about her as a whole stepping away, there's times where I'm like, oh, she was kind of boring, but then other times I'm like, no, she did shit. And I think if she hadn't painted the cabin and put everyone without permission in book 2, I might have ranked her higher.
she really felt invisible at that moment. She's like, I'm mad. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna deface your like childhood like memories.
Do you guys think that Feyre's a good painter?
I do.
It's a
I
hot
don't know.
topic.
I think she's better than average.
I didn't know this.
But
was
I just
such a
see
hot
so
topic.
many people, like fans, like talking about it that they're like, she's probably not a good artist. That she's just slopping paint all over the place. I don't know.
I mean, she's good enough that they let her teach a class, but then also she's like the hard lady, like who's gonna say no to the president?
Yeah.
But like, there's moments in the first, like in acotar, where she's like, I'm not really the best painter. I just like this as a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she does do it enough that I feel like she's got to get to a point. Like, if you can confidently give someone your artwork as a gift, you got to be like, yeah, this is fine. Like, I'm
Yeah.
better
At the very
than some
least,
people,
this
but
girl
not-
has confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there
At the very
are
least, she has
people.
confidence to give it out.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
are people definitely that are like, well, like Taylor Swift's like, oh, I'm just a singer-songwriter. It's nothing great, but it's like, girl, like you are the music industry.
Yeah.
So it's just gotta like, I don't know. I actually never heard that that's a debate, and I think that's like so
Really?
fun and interesting. Yes, I
Oh my god.
I think this is hilarious because I never really like thought about that before. So
No, there's
I'm-
hilarious TikToks, especially about when she paints the cabin, of her doing like little like stick figures and like the eyes looking terrible, and everyone coming in and being like,
oh, this looks
I'm so
great.
glad you did this to our vacation home.
That's hilarious. No, but it is true. Yeah, that is. I've like never thought about that, and I think that is hilarious. I kind of want it to be like shit, just so it can like be a meme. But
Yeah.
I do like Farrah. I'm not like shitting on Farrah. Like, if I had to pick a character I probably like identify with the most, it probably would be Farrah. And like if I had a cosplay, I think I'd pick Farrah. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I think I don't have like the edginess of like Nesta or like the flower person, weak personality as Elaine, but like shots
Not
fired.
there yet, Peyton.
But tell us how you really feel. But yeah. So I'm not saying I hate her. I'm just saying that she just is a little lackluster at the end.
We got Sarah J. Maas's character. That's her like skill. So
Yeah.
a 5 for a Sarah J. Maas character, pretty good.
Love it.
All right, next we got Mr. Tamlin. All right, Victoria.
Am I going first again
Yeah.
for this? All right. Tamlin is one of my controversial points. He's still low on the list, but he's a 7. He's not at the bottom of my list.
Oh,
I love this. I love where you're going.
I feel like, so Tamlin is very shitty, right? He gets to a point where he becomes a shitbag, right?
Mhm.
It's hard to deny that. He's an awful person to Feyre. But I feel like in the same way that, like, Nesta had, like, her deep lows where after trauma, she kind of just, like, lost herself completely and just
Mhm.
resorted to, like, basic needs, just, like, fucking and drinking. Tamlin also, he went through that big trauma and then fell into just basic needs of just, like, hunting and killing and eating. And he lost himself. And I feel like if the gang is able to give Nesta this redemption and, like, keep holding out your hand, keep, like, helping someone, like, she's in need, I feel like that Tamlin can also kind of get that, like, he's in need, someone needs to help him a little bit, because he wasn't
Yeah.
that shitty of a person in the first book. Like,
Yes. Thank
the
you.
first book, like, a lot of people like him and root for him, and the rest of the fan base is like, oh, wait, hold on, you gotta wait. And I'm like, well, that happens after his
Yeah.
trauma. And I get that, like, him and Feyre are never gonna get back together. Like, you don't ship that. Like, they are not compatible anymore.
Mhm.
But I don't think he would be that awful to someone else that he didn't go through trauma with. You
Yeah.
know? I think he just needs some help.
Yes. I love this theory so much because
Pro
Tamlin gets so much hate, which is fair, but I feel like hurt people hurt other people.
Yeah.
And the first book, I was like, Tamlin is the best. He's not my typical, like, tall, dark, and handsome, like, love interest in a fantasy book, but I absolutely love him. And then, of course, we're like, you're a shitbag. This sucks. But Like, I'm sorry, this is so controversial, but I feel like there is a redemption arc for Tamlin. Just
I think
because
so.
of the things he said at that High Lord meeting. He was hurt. He was grieving. He had to learn. He lived. He loved. And, like, guys, I feel like Tamlin has a future. He's ranked 10 for me. But, because I love the Inner Circle so much. But, like,
Yeah.
I agree with you, Victoria. I really do think that he has a future in these books. And I
think so, too.
for one, love all the little theories that are going around. And I'm very excited for future books.
You are not an Elaine Tamlin shipper, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, I want her with Lucian.
I was gonna say, as someone who dated the same guy as her sister, it's just not.
No. I'm
It just-
not.
She should not end up because there's a lot of people who's like Elaine, Flowers, Spring Court, Tamlin.
No. I don't think
don't-
she's. I think she needs more of a delicate. Like, someone needs to get in and, like, slap Tamlin around a little bit.
Yeah,
Elaine's not going to do that.
no. I also put Tamlin at 10. I have like kind of a weird experience with Tamlin because I went into the books knowing that Rhys was the man and knowing that he like was gonna be like the afterthought. And so like I honestly the entire first book I'm like waiting for her to leave Tamlin for Rhys, and I like texted my sister.
That's
I'm like
so
almost
painful.
in the book. I'm like, she's still with Tamlin? Question mark?
That's so painful. The
Like,
whole book.
Yeah, the whole book I'm just like, I don't know, like he's not the one. I know he's not the one. He's the blonde. So like I just never felt that deeply for Tamlin. What makes me a little upset is that I feel like Tamlin keeps getting mini redemption arcs. Like when he saved Feyre in Acre War, or when he gave the seed of magic to bring Rhys back at the end of Acre War, and then like he like kind of helps out and does stuff in Silver Flames. So I'm like,
It's
he
foreshadowing.
has apologized,
It's foreshadowing.
and now
Like-
he's just
He's trying.
he's
He's just a troubled
doing
man.
yeah, he's doing his own little emotional breakdown. We all have our
Sarah-
moments. He
Exactly.
is, a 500-year-old male having his midlife crisis. Let him be.
Yeah, Sarah is just preparing us for when there is the redemption. We're like, okay, this is well deserved. Not like
Yeah.
hating on the fact that she did that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will say the funniest thing is people are getting fourth wing tattoos, and everyone's
Yes.
like, "Hey, everyone, maybe wait to get your fourth wing tattoo until Iron Flame comes out because we all love acotar, and we know how that first book went."
People got Feyre and Tamlin tattoos.
Like,
No.
it's messed up.
And you
That's so
just
sad.
got it. The series has to be finished to do that kind of
Yes.
stuff. You know? And so Fourth Wing is book 1 out of 5 has come out. You don't know. You don't know the way that story's gonna go. I think as much as I'm good with the Tamlin redemption arc, I feel like Sarah should have just killed him. Like I just think he could have had like a little like I'm sacrificing my life for you, Feyre, redemption arc at the end and then die.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like not enough people died in acotar, and I know that it's more like romance. It's more of a romantasy than like
Right.
Throne of Glass or even Crescent City, her other series. But I was just like, he could have just like served his purpose and died.
Yeah.
So,
Give like Lucian the spring court or something.
Yes.
Him and
Well,
then Elaine.
that's what I'm hoping for. Him and Elaine. Lucian needs to take over. I want Tamlin to have his redemption arc, but he should not be High Lord anymore.
No.
He cannot
Yeah,
be High
he
Lord.
dies in like a heroic way, and then Elaine gets to live in her flower wonderland with her mans.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Sarah, you better fucking watch this because that is what's happening. Okay.
watch our podcast as we refer to you as Sarah and not Moss.
What do we have next?
All
Ooh,
right.
Speaking
Yeah.
of,
Lucian.
yes.
All right, Peyton, you go first.
Okay.
Peyton.
Let's spice it up.
All right. So not so exciting. I have Lucian right underneath Farah at 6.
6?
6. You know, if this was like, if we were talking about just the first book, he'd probably be like number 1. Because he was like her main support system when
Yeah.
she was in the Spring Court. I love him. I love that he is attentive but super hands off, especially for our strong-will Archeron sisters. You know, they're feisty. They all are in their own way. And I kind of like that he's just like understanding, especially with the whole Elaine situation. He knows, and we have that special moment where he's like, my mate.
My mate.
But then he backs off. Like, he's not
Mhm.
super like, but I love you and we need to be together and this is how things are. Like, he's like, when she's ready, or if she's ever ready, like, I'm here. I just really, really like him.
Victoria?
I could not agree more. He is also exactly my 6, right under Feyre. I think that they're a great duo.
Yes.
If we were just judging the first book, he would also probably be my number 1.
Yeah,
like
I
he
love
is a
him.
great person. And then especially like when like Feyre has to go back to the Spring Court and like he's still kind of sketchy about her, like they're still a great team and they still
Yeah.
work together, and just that bond that they have together is great. And then the way he responds to Elaine, like he's a good guy. I really enjoy him. I do like him.
He's my 8, and I don't mean anything bad by that. I feel like his time is coming. Like, he's gonna get his book, and I think he's gonna jump ship for me a little bit higher with that. But
Yep.
I don't remember a lot of the first book, which I think also skews this opinion. And so
It's
I'm like,
hard.
oh yeah, he's like hanging out with the humans. And like, I mean, he's Elaine's mate, and I think that there's gonna be a fun storyline there. But at the moment, I'm like kind of like, either or about him. I
Yeah.
don't think about him that much. I do know that there are people online obsessed with him.
Oh.
They're like, who would I date out of the acotar world? Lucian. And I'm like,
That's such an odd thing right now.
Peyton's
in the
Mr.
universe.
Moody
You know, I thought of him as Mr. Moody the first time.
from
The
Harry
first time I was
Potter.
introduced to him. The first time, because it's just the mechanical eyes situation.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's very hot. Just like honestly, he read as like a wise old man. But it's just like we have those people in our lives that we're just like, they're always single, by the way. They're always single because they're a good guy. No one wants the good guy. Everyone wants the bat boy, bad guy who like, kills from like within your mind, or is like super buff and strong, or like lives in the shadows. Like, that's hot. But Lucian is a steal. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he is such a steal. But Aubrey, I agree with you. When you like go through the behemoth of the acotar series, and then if you go right into the Crescent City series, by the end you're like, who is Lucian? Like, what? What happened all the way back, like, when Feyre was like 19? Like, I don't know. So it makes sense. Like, I agree. But I also agree that it'll probably jump in the next couple books or whatever is happening.
The unrequited like, I don't want you as my mate storyline that Elaine and Lucian are gonna have is gonna be so hot.
Yeah.
Like this idea of like, I don't like you, but like I'm drawn to you. Like, he'll have his
Also,
moment.
the potential for the first threesome with Azriel,
Yeah.
maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
True.
Because
Spicy.
we did not get the Nesta, Cassie, and Azriel threesome because Sarah J. Maas's editors took it out of the book, but she still has it on her computer. And if I was better at hacking computers, I have no skills. So I guess if I had any skills, I would get that chapter for everyone.
That's
It
what we
worked
all
for
want.
JLA. We'll see. I don't know.
Give the
All right,
fans
what
what
do you
they
next?
want.
Yes. All right, Elaine.
Why don't you start us off here, Aubrey?
Oh, okay. I didn't know where to put Elaine, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, Elaine.
Because there's
Poor Elaine.
times when I'm like, I love her. And then there's times when I'm like, yeah, but she doesn't have that big of a role. And here's the thing. I put her at 4, but I also could have put her at like 8.
Shit,
I
Aubrey.
don't know.
I'm surprised.
Justice for Elaine.
I feel like there's moments with her that I really like. And I one of my favorite scenes is that fact that she works with the night court servant twins, and she like does all this baking and stuff for them, and I love when she's like setting out the table and like getting all the food prepped and being that host, and like Cassian starts digging into his food and Azriel's like, stop, don't eat your fucking food, like you need to wait for her. And like that kind of role that she plays. And I feel like in fantasy a lot of the times like there's this idea that you can't be feminine because that makes you weak. And so like she likes gardening, she's likes pink dresses and stuff like that, and compared to Nesta and Feyre, she's the most feminine character, and people hate her for it. And so I'm always like, Elaine, like she's gonna have her moment, she's gonna have her book, but like she also hasn't had it yet, so
Good things take time. What I like about Elaine is that she really stays true to herself. We really see, I mean, the sisters are just so different, but Elaine was like meant to be married off into this like high society, and a society in which hates Barry. Okay.
yeah.
But I really enjoyed that she like stays true to who she is as a person, and I really do think that's true. Like I feel like in fantasy a lot of times we're like, oh, you're feminine, that's like, you know, you're supposed to be strong and powerful like Feyre and Nesta, but it's like Elaine's Elaine. Like leave her alone. Let her garden if she wants to. She enjoys it. I have her ranked at number 9.
9?
Yes. I don't love Elaine. But because out of all of the books, I couldn't stand her, actually, until A Court of Silver Flames. And A Court of Silver Flames is when my mind was like, oh, she's not that bad. And why I say that is because when Nesta was going through her Nesta shit, Elaine was like, Nesta, like, get over yourself. And I kind of liked how Elaine, even though you would think she would have the hardest time coping with becoming part of this new world and a part of something that she was grown up to believe is this evil thing, she actually has translated very well. And I think her living with Feyre and Rhys has like really helped her integrate into society. And I really like the stance she takes in A Court of Silver Flames, where she's like, Nesta, like, get the fuck over yourself. Like, grow up. Like, this is your life now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where. So I'm excited to see where if this number 9 goes up anymore.
I ranked Elaine. She was bouncing back and forth between my 9 and 10. And so I think I ended up putting her at my 9. Only because, she didn't really have her moment yet. We didn't really get to see, her, be a part of anything yet. She didn't have her special moment in the book. But I do love that she stays true to herself throughout everything that's happened to her. And I love that she's able to stay feminine and nobody hates on her for being feminine. And I love that for her, and that's not why I put her so low. I just put her low because she hasn't taken part in, the group yet. She hasn't had her, role yet. And I'm just waiting for that. And so the only reason she's low is because everyone else we've seen, and I just haven't seen enough of Elaine yet.
I'm so excited for her being a seer, because that's another that was such a
That's
fun
cool
thing that was put in. And then when she first becomes a fae and Feyre visits her after getting back from the spring court, and she's like, I can hear all the way to the ocean, I can hear your heart, Lucian, can you hear mine? And he's like, no, I can't. And she's acting like she's fucking insane. That plot line is gonna be so cool, but we see it that tiny little bit,
so small,
and never again. And I feel like that's the issue. I feel like more people would like Elaine more if she got the attention, even as a side character that we see other characters get. So it makes total sense that you guys ranked her so low.
Yeah,
because Sarah J. Maas needs the upper game.
We just want more from her. We just want more.
Exactly. So this
Give
is
us
a
more Elaine.
warning. Watch out. Elaine is coming for all your hearts. I know it.
Yes.
I may have ranked her at 9, but she's coming. She's coming up. All right. Victoria, what do you have down for Shadow Daddy?
I have him as my number 3. He's top 3 for me.
Yeah.
I really like Azrael. I like the mystery behind him. I think we get a good chunk of like backstory. He has good involvement, good character development. He's attractive. Like
biggest wingspan.
And the only reason he's not higher at 1 or 2 is because he also didn't have like his story yet. Like I didn't get to see enough of him, like how he's dealing with Elaine or like where he goes from there. Like in Silver Flames we get a lot of Cassian, and now I want that equal story for Azrael. But I love him. He's fun.
Did you read the Silver Flames bonus chapters?
No.
Specific. Okay. Because he would have been my 3. He was like, I was obsessed with him. There was a time when he was my number 1 because I think that like his vibe, I was like, I love this. I love that he's
here for it.
Shadow Daddy, everything. And then I read the Silver Flames bonus chapter, and it's from his point of view, and I hated him. Like, I don't hate him, but he is 6 on my list, which like is still pretty high, but like he dropped because he was like, I think I should be able to date Elaine because there's 3 brothers and 3 sisters. Don't I get this biological right to Elaine even though she's someone else's mate? And then he like gets her this like big necklace, and Rhys is like, you can't give her that. Like she's Lucian's mate. This could cause a war if you try to like claim someone else's mate. Like Elaine hasn't refused the mating bond yet. Until she does that, you cannot go for her. And he's like, well, meh. And then he goes and he gives the necklace that he got for Elaine, and he just gives it to Gwen. And so now Gwen is like, got this nice necklace, and she's like, oh, Az thinks I'm so special, like, he probably loves me. No, those were dirty seconds. You were his second choice. Gwen doesn't deserve to be treated like that. And like, Azrael's, I don't know, like, when we're in Cassian's head, he's very much, like, thinking about sex, and he's like that kind of guy. And it fit Cassian's personality so well, and I love Cassian. But then when I was in Azrael's head and he was just like only thinking about sex, it felt like he was like almost objectifying these girls to like just his attraction and not who they are. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And that is why he's my 6.
It sounds like I'm not going to read these bonus chapters because I don't want to ruin Azrael in my mind.
I
He's still
refuse.
pure. He's still perfect. He's still our quiet little shadow boy. I still love him.
Yeah, it's like, don't meet your heroes. Don't read point of views from your favorite side characters.
No.
Deal.
Azrael for me is number 3. I am obsessed with Azrael. I think that from taking away the bonus chapters, what I like about him is he's very, from everyone else's point of view, secretive, kind of hanging towards the back. He's the one they like send out to like go figure out shit, and he like reports back, and he's always just like, he's almost like, he's like that like piece of cake like you can't eat because it's the last piece, but like, you want to eat it so bad. Like it's not attainable, but like you're like salivating at the mouth for it. With the bonus chapters in mind, I think that Azrael is, from my perspective, I could maybe dig into this more. Out of, the 3 of them, Cassian and Rhys, I feel like Azrael is immature, and he's young, and he has a lot to learn, and he's kind of like a hopeless romantic. And when I say hopeless, I literally mean hopeless. Like,
he's in his Delulu.
He's so delusional that, like, he's like, oh, girl. But it's like, dude, calm down. Like, Cassian can, like, kind of play, like, the cool guy. And Rhys is, like, like, he's the High Lord. So you're just kind of like, all right, cool. But Azrael is like, I don't fit in. And, oh, my God, I haven't seen a girl in forever. And, like, you know what I mean? Like,
pining after more for, like, 400 years. Yeah.
And she's gay. So, like, you know what I mean? So, it's just, like, the poor guy. Like, give him a break. But he's like so hot that he doesn't know he's so hot. I love Azriel. He's very sensitive, obviously. And I think that he's gonna learn a lot and he's gonna mess up a lot. But he needs to. He needs to grow up a little bit. But he's my number 3. Love Azriel to the day I die. Love him.
I'm hoping that, like, when we get to his book, that, like, I don't know. I don't want to be in his head that much. Because I feel like I got in his head and it ruined it for me.
No, I really, honestly, Sarah can really mess this up for me. I don't want to be in Azriel's head. I like Azriel as this shadow. Like, I like him as this background character that we all, like, pine over, but he's not, like, the big, attractive, you know, like we got with Cassian. I understand because now we've covered Rhys and Cassian, like, the order seems to be going towards Azriel, and if that's the case, whatever, I'm gonna think the bonus chapter is just a bonus chapter, and, like, that has nothing to do with the plot line of the story, because no one has read it, because it's a fucking bonus chapter. So in my head, he's still perfect. But yeah, that's kind of gross with the whole necklace thing.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it was a bonus chapter. It didn't make it into the book. But what I would have given to swap out that chapter for the threesome with Cassian and Nesta, like, that would have been so much better.
Correct.
All right. More. Victoria, you want to go?
Sure, I'll start. Moore's my 10.
Okay.
Moore's my least favorite character. In the beginning, in the first one, I loved her when she first made her appearance. But she, throughout the whole series, has just been so frustrating for me because I want so much more for her, and I feel like Sarah J. Maas has, like, set her up to be this, like, icon character to, like, as a symbol for, you know, she's, like, this gay character, and she's supposed to have this power of truth, but, like, she's never true to herself. She's not true to other people. No one else, like, believes her in her truth. Like, it's just very lackluster, and it's just so frustrating. And then she's also this person who is supposed to, like, fight in all these wars and be such a good warrior. But then every time we see her, she's on the sidelines just protecting Feyre. We never actually get to see her, like, fight. Or even if she does go in, we don't get, like, a written scene of her being, like, a badass in the field. It's like, oh yeah, she went out and then she came back. And I want so much more from her. It's just so frustrating to read about her character.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. She's my 9. So.
Yeah, Moore's my 8. More for me is it's complicated. And her scenes in A Court of Mist and Fury, especially when Feyre first comes to, you know, not even Valeris, when she's, like, in just, like,
the House of Wind? No, she's in the other one.
She's not in Valeris yet. She's, like, before he takes her. So when she, like, shows up and becomes, like, a pseudo sister for Feyre, I like, it's kind of like empowering girl power, like, you know what I mean? Like, she saw, like, a strong female in Fairy that was respected, regardless, even though in Valeris, like, obviously when she would go see her dad or whatever, and it would just be like, oh my god, this place sucks. They hate her here. But yeah, so it kind of, like, showed Feyre, like, there is standards for women here, but I would agree with you. She doesn't live up to her full potential. And for someone who seeks truth so much, like, I guess maybe that's, like, the point, that, like, you can be a truth seeker, but then live in so much lie. So, like, it is an interesting, like, balance. But her character really just, like, dies off in the series, and it's, like, kind of sucks because in my head, Moore was always kind of, like, Rhys's, like, feminine voice of reason that's like, just go talk to her, Rhys. Like, stop being an asshole. Go talk to her. And Rhys is like, I don't know, I just like her, man. And Moore's like, I know you like her. Like, just go talk to her.
I wish we even got, like, a redemption, like, with her dad. Like, we didn't even get to see her, like, solve that problem. Like, every single time she interacts with the Court of Nightmares, she's always, like, in the back, scared, not wanting to go. Like, she hasn't even, like, conquered that fear yet. And I feel like that's one of the first steps she needs to make, and we don't even see that yet.
Yeah, like, girl, claim yourself. Jesus.
The whole thing with Eris, and, like, I feel like there's so many theories out there. Like she's not telling the whole story of what happened.
She's lying about something with Eris, because Eris has said multiple times, like, she's not telling you the truth. You don't know it, and it's not my place to tell you. Like, Moore has to tell you. And she's lying about something that we don't know yet. And her power being truth.
Yeah.
Lies.
So frustrating.
My
Lies.
power is truth. Are you a human lie detector? You can't only tell the truth because you lie all the time. I feel like, so all of the stories are like kind of fairy tale retellings. Like Feyre is Beauty and the Beast, and which is so funny because she's illiterate. But I think that Moore is going to get the Little Mermaid retelling, and this idea of like the Hewn City being like the underworld kingdom, and she's like technically like kind of a princess because of her dad. And I think if she ever got a book, it would be her relationship with the human queens out on the continent, because that's where she is most of the time in Silver Flames. So I think that like in her book we could get these truths and figure out what the fuck power of truth means and stuff like that, and it could be very interesting. But I don't know if Sarah J. Maas is ever gonna write a main character gay love story. Like in Crescent City, she has more side characters that are gay than like what shows up in acotar. But
yeah, but like I feel like Moore's story isn't necessarily like a romance story. I feel like her story is more like claiming who you really are, and then that comes along.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the point. Basically, the point of like Feyre and Rhys is like their love story, them like basically becoming High Lord and High Lady, which is like it's very romance. Yeah, I think it'd be hard to write a Moore book because there would not be a lot of romance. There'd be a lot of trauma, and hopefully she would find. I mean, I have there's the theories about where Moore may go.
Hey, Silver Flames did both.
Yeah.
Silver Flames did trauma and romance.
Yes. So I'm saying, she is kind of like Nesta in some ways.
Oh, I hated how catty she was to Nesta. Like their
she's resentful.
And like, yeah, like I feel like, I mean, I know that Nesta is a bitch in those moments too.
Yeah.
But I feel like Moore has such a higher position of power over Nesta in those moments, in the inner court, in the night court, in being a fae, being comfortable with her fae bodies, being comfortable with her powers. And she's still, like, she's just like acting like she's jealous over Cassian. And it's like, girl, you're gay.
Yeah. I think she's like so protective over them. Like they're like big brothers.
But like, you said it before, like Moore was kind of like this role model for Feyre, like to how to be like a woman in this fae world, and like how she can be strong and confident and powerful and like be like she was supposed to be that for Feyre. And then when Nesta comes along, like she's just a total bitch to her.
Yeah,
like, you're supposed to be like part of this like court. Where's the standard?
Like I don't like her.
No.
Which Nesta was a lot nastier than Feyre was. Like a lot. And since Moore and Feyre have a good relationship, she probably saw how negatively it was affecting Feyre, and then automatically was just being like absolutely a bitch to Nesta. She's like, you don't deserve my niceness. You're an ass.
I don't know. Moore is gonna I would rather see the Tamlin redemption. Like the Tamlin redemption, I feel like it's gonna require less work than making Moore a better character.
Moore is a side character.
That's very true.
She's part of the story, but she's not the story. And that's why she's number 8 on my list. But you know who's not number 8 on my list? Who's one up the list at 7? That is Amryn. I love Amryn. I think she's so freaking cool that she's like not like she's just like otherworldly. Yeah. And I think that Amryn is going to connect some parts of this series, no spoilers for that, in some way in the future. Amryn is going to play a big role in the future. So I love Amryn. I love that she's obsessed with jewels. I love that Rhys is like, good girl. Like, here's some jewelry. Like, go away now. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I love how quirky she is. I loved all the Amryn parts because they were just like so funny.
She is my 7 too, actually. So twinning there. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, those moments are fun, and sometimes like, I don't know. I do like the fact, I respect the fact that she came to Corinthian and she had to like assume a fae body, and she was just like, girls are prettier.
Yeah.
And so she just became a girl, and like she doesn't know how to pee, and that's weird, and she drinks blood, which is so fun. So, you know.
So quirky.
What do you think?
I put Amryn at, she's my number 8.
Okay.
But, you know, I agree with everything that you're saying about her. She's a fun character. I love her. I just had other characters to put above her that were, like, more main character energy. She does have a lot of side character energy. But, like, her backstory, so fun. Drinking blood, so fun. She is a fun character.
Yeah, she's just so
We love
fun.
Amryn. I feel bad for putting her at 8, but that's where she goes.
There's a lot of side characters that I feel like give main character potential, kind of like what you were saying. Like, Cassian and Nesta were side characters and gave enough main character potential that they got their own book.
Right.
I can't ever see like an Amryn book.
No, Amryn's a
No.
supporting character that like brings the story along and connects like the old Corinthian with like what it is now and what it's going to be in the future. So, and of course when they go back to like the prison and stuff like that, like she plays such like she has so much knowledge and is such an asset to the inner circle that like the book needs her. So there's not like I don't really have much else to say about her except I think she's really badass.
Yeah. I do think she's another one that I was like could have stayed dead in Akawar. Like there were this whole series has too many like revivification tropes. Like too many people are coming back from the dead. So I feel like there's been this big thing about she was gonna have this big power. It's been hinted at throughout all of the books. She finally got her moment. She saved the day. She was big. She was a badass. And then when they brought her back, she didn't need to come back. Like she did the sacrifice play. Let it be the sacrifice play. And then 2, they brought her back and she's powerless. And so it's just another SJM character, female character, who gets stripped from all of her power. I'm sick of these female characters not getting their powers. Like, Feyre has a bunch of powers, never uses them. We never see her being cool, using her powers. She's supposed to be Rhys's equal, and she's not. It does not show. Nesta loses all of her powers at the end of her book. Moore's powers don't exist. Elaine's seer powers we never see. And then now Amryn had this, like, she's gonna be this cool thing, and she got stripped of all of them. Like, I would rather see the character die epically than be stripped of their power.
All good points. Yeah, I totally agree with all that. I think she should have stayed down.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think, like I said before, she's gonna play a bigger role.
Yeah.
In some other plot lines we're not gonna talk about. So I do think maybe that is going to be her purpose in the future, but we don't know until we read. So we will find out.
All right.
Okay, here we go. We got 8, 9, and 10. Cassian.
All right, Victoria, where you got her? Him.
Cassian's my number 2.
Yes.
Could very easily also be my number 1. It was a very hard choice to make. I love Cassian. He's so much fun.
Yes.
He's fun. He's like my type of guy. I just love everything about him. And I love like all the support that he gives like in Silver Flames for Nesta, and like he's just a good guy. He really is. And I like that we got to see like his point of view and his story, and that like he feels like a fully developed character, which sadly we don't get to see from some of these other characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He is my number 2 as well. I am a Cassian stan. I've talked about this before. Like, my type is like the manly man. Like, my husband has the beard. He used to have the long hair, and I mourn it every day now that it's gone. Like, Like, yes, like, I just think Cassian's so hot. And like, there's
He
that
really is.
scene in Silver Flames, and people think that it's so embarrassing and they hate it, but I was like, when she is getting like, when all the inner circle is around and she's getting like lost in her powers trying to use like the mask or something, and he's like, come on, Nesta, like, come play with me, to like try to get her out. I don't know, but it worked for me. It worked for me.
It gets you hot. It gets
Put your
you
hands
so
on the
hot.
headboards. Like, it worked for me.
I have Cassian at 4. Cassian is not my type.
Ian.
Um,
No.
His personality is though. I'm not into big hairy men. Like that's why I like Azriel, and that's why I like Rhys. I like kind of like slim, like chiseled, like short hair. But Cassian's playful energy does remind me a lot of like my boyfriend's energy, where like if I'm sad, he'll like turn it into like a teasing little joke, which works sometimes, but works doesn't. I have Nesta energy where I'm like, shut the fuck up. But yeah, so he's number 4. People, he's number 4. Like that's high.
Yeah.
Like I love Cassian. A Court of Silver Flames is my second favorite book in all of them. Acomath is of course number 1, but I love Cassian and Nesta's story. I think they were made for each other. But like I'm not gonna rank him at 1 or 2 because he's just like, when I wasn't reading the scenes being like, I wish I was Nesta. I was just like,
Yeah.
this is such a cute story. Like this is so hot and sexy. Like I loved the passion that he has, and like he's just such a brute, but he's actually like the biggest teddy bear. And so yeah, I really agree with Victoria that he is fully developed, and like I loved seeing that character because we knew he was just like Rhys's like main guy.
Yeah.
But in this book, you're like, oh, like Cassian's like kind of the shit. So I would agree with you. Cassian is awesome, but he definitely is number 4 for me. Gotta be honest.
All right.
He's just hot.
We all have
agree
a
with
type. He's not my type.
I'll agree with you that number 4 is still pretty high because
Yeah.
I'm happy with my number 4 as being pretty high, and I don't want Aubrey to come at me for saying that Nesta is my number 4.
You know what? There
Nesta.
are people who would put her at 10.
Yeah, well,
That's
they don't
fair.
have any trauma then. They don't understand a hurt person. That means Elaine would be their number 1, and that's just not true for anyone.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
I put Nesta as my number 4
Yeah.
because of her relatability. Like, I feel like she is such a bitch, but after A Court of Silver Flames, like, and just like seeing like all the other fans' reactions to her, like everyone relates to her in some way or another. Like, there's just these little things about her that makes her such a relatable woman, and I think that's why everyone loves her so much. And like the work that she puts in to like fix herself and like all like her healing journey is just admirable.
Yeah.
We love her for that.
I would agree with you. Nesta for me is number 2. I love Nesta. Like I said, so I would agree, and this is why I give Tamlin his redemption arc, is that hurt people, but Nesta like took that rage and like channeled it. I love her independent nature, that like she doesn't really need Cassian to survive. I love the scenes where she's just in her bedroom at the House of the Wind reading her books by the fireplace, and of course they're smutty. I love how she creates this like gal pal group and wants to like uplift women by teaching them how to fight. And I do like that eventually she gives way, but she's like such a like tenacity to her, like when she's like climbing those steps and she's like, I'm gonna go drink, and she's like, I'm getting down there, like just like her, like she's so strong-willed. Where like Farah, where like Farah's just like, I'm mad at you, and I have all these powers that I don't use. Nesta's like, I don't care if I have powers or not, I'm gonna take your fucking head off. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like, you don't with Nesta. And I think she's just like the coolest ever. I do think I like my personality falls more with Farah, but we all have little Nesta in us. And that is why she's my number 2.
Nesta is my number 1, my ride or die, my favorite character. And I do want to say, like, I love Nesta from the beginning. Like, I was not like, there's a lot of like converted Nesta stans who like in Silver Flames fell in love with her and her journey. I loved her as a bitch. You know what I mean? Like there's a quote from like the originals where it's like, you know, when I first met you, I thought you were kind of a bitch. Oh, what changed that? Nothing. I still think you're a bitch. I've just come to like that about you. Like, that's how I feel about Nesta, and I love a flawed character. Because I feel like part of the reason that I ranked Feyre lower, or Elaine as well, is that like I feel like there's so much work and energy built into making especially the female characters just be likable, be all the way around, you know, all of these things to like serve a purpose. And Nesta's not a likable character. She is a bitch, and I love that about her. I love that she's fiery. I feel like if she was a man, if they wrote they did not change a damn thing about Nesta except made her a man, I think people would praise her like above Rhys, above everything. I don't know. There's just something about being this complex, flawed character and so fiery and so unapologetic about it.
And I love that she gets to have her healing story and like heal like her inner problems, and then still like keep her personality at the end.
Yeah.
Like her being a bitch didn't have anything to do with like her trauma. That's who she is, and she owns that. And by the end of the book, she can still be sassy and bitchy if she wants, but she's a healed and a better person inside, and I love that.
Yes.
Which is probably why everyone's like, you know, Nesta's not that bad. She grew a lot. But yeah, my mom read them and she's like, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you remind me so much of Nesta. And she started reading the books and she called me. She's like, how do you think of me? Like, do you think I'm like her? And I'm like, just wait.
Just wait.
And now she's like, are you sure still? And I'm like, yes, you remind me of Nesta.
I hate that Nesta gets all of the hate for the first book about not hunting in the woods and stuff, and Elaine gets none of it.
No,
because
both of them are responsible.
One, the person who's most responsible is their dad, is their caretaker. Like, yes, Feyre is the youngest, but she's like 2 years younger.
Yeah, their dad sucks,
Nesta
by the way.
was still also a kid. Like, you being like, oh, this other kid should have gone into the woods because she's 2 years older. Like, that doesn't add up. That doesn't, like, make more sense of being like, she's slightly older, so I actually think that she's the one who should have been in peril danger, and, like, fuck her for not treating her sister like a child.
Yeah, I mean, Nesta is a flawed character, so she had to start from somewhere. But to be honest, number 11 is definitely the dad. I don't care about the stupid ships he named after them. I think he's stupid, and I can't stand him.
Yeah.
I don't like. He should have just died. Wait, didn't he die?
He did die. That's actually a big part
He
about
is dead.
Nesta's thing.
He's not memorable, guys. I don't care about him.
He's not.
Yeah. Nesta's great. Number 2, Ride. You know, I love her. But I still got my number 1 spot.
Give it
My
to
number
us.
1 is still open as well.
It's Rhys. He's my favorite book boy. Like, he is my book boyfriend. Rhys, I don't care how big this series gets. I don't care what series I read. I will always love Rhysand. Like, he is it for me. That is where my love begins and ends. It will always be with him. I don't care how hyped people are like, well, of course it's Rhys. I'm like, I don't care, okay? Acomath is my favorite book in the entire world. Like, I love Rhys. You could put Rhys with any woman, and I would still love him. Like, he is my number 1. I love him. You know? I can't. I have so many good things to say about him.
He's a main character for a reason, you know?
Yes!
He gives off good energy. Like, you have to like him. He's written to be liked.
Yes. And you can listen to any of our other podcasts. My number one like trope and favorite thing ever is the mind reading trope where you can like
Yes.
communicate in your head. That is my favorite. And I love like in Akatar, the first book, how like similar to Nesta, we're all like, dude, this guy sucks. But we realized he was actually just protecting her and like mending her bones. And like he wasn't trying to like brand her to like claim her.
Mm-hmm.
Like he shows his character like the whole like star thing about how like he sent her that message and how he knew they were mates the whole time, but like he was perfectly fine like backing off, and if she said no, he would have done that. Same thing with Lucian, like how he just like he's like, you know what, Elaine, if you don't want me, that's fine. But I also love that he's also that's a combined word. He's also he's morally gray.
Yeah.
Like there's things he does where like, dude, like I don't know about that, but like it was hot anyways. I love it. He is the character. He is number one. He will always be number one. Even though Azriel tried to make a pass there, he did not succeed because Rhysand is it.
Rhysand is a very good one. Yeah, he's also my number one. Partially, he's my number one because, like you were saying before, Aubrey, like Sarah J. Maas likes to like pull from other stories.
Mm-hmm.
And have you guys ever watched Howl's Moving Castle?
No.
I want to so bad.
Oh my god! So that was like my favorite movie growing up. It's one of my biggest childhood movies, and Rhys to me is almost identical to Howl in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Not to spoil anything for you, but it's early movie, and I mean you've already read ACOTAR, so you kind of you get the gist of it. But in the beginning of the movie, you know, you hear all these rumors about like this evil wizard and this like bad guy that like no one wants to fuck with. And then the main character Sophie's in the streets and she starts getting hassled by these two men, and this strange man comes over and like saves her, and he's like, where have you been, Sophie? I've been looking everywhere for you. And then you just like, oh, like you fall in love with him just a little bit, but it's a strange man, and you start getting like, is this Howl, like the man that everyone like warned you about, like the evil man that's like gonna eat your heart?
Yeah.
And then like
yes,
they have this
it is.
like story, and they start to fall in love a little bit, and then they also have like this time thing where like Howl knew who Sophie was the whole time. Like he was already in love with her from the beginning, and she didn't know who he was yet. And like it's almost the same plot of like Rhys and Feyre, and just like getting to read that and like relive that story again just melted my heart and just pushes another level why I love Rhys. So if you haven't watched Howl's Moving Castle, watch it.
Done.
Highly recommend. It's a great movie. I love it so much.
Oh my god.
I love Howl.
That you just reminded me, Victoria, of my favorite scene ever, which is crazy. It is an ACOTAR, and it's at Kalmai when he's like, I've been looking for you, and she's like, yeah, this guy rescued me, and then you looking back, you're like, oh my god, like, he was looking for you, but not really like to like save you. He was actually looking for you.
That scene is directly taken out of Howl's Moving Castle. And it's wonderful.
Sarah's probably like, I need to recreate this. It's probably like her favorite movie ever. She's like, this is going in a book.
Pure magic.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, guys. Rhys is my 5. Sometimes I rank him lower.
Lower than 5?
Aubrey has so many hot takes.
For putting him at 5, but lower?
I don't know, girl. That's such a hot take.
I know. I almost put him at like 7. I don't like Rhys, and let me explain. Just looking at the trilogy to start, I would rank him much higher. I do think that because the series was spoiled for me, I never fell in love with Tamlin, and I never fell in love with Rhys either. Like something about it, something the way I read the stories, I mean, I really liked Rhys, but I never got attached to him.
That's so sad.
That's so sad.
I love the idea that he's morally gray and walks those lines. Like the decisions he made, especially in the first book, with like painting her and forcing her into deals, and like he could have protected from afar, but he kind of walked that line. Like all of that, I think is great. But in Silver Flames, when he does not tell Feyre that the pregnancy is going to kill her, crossed a boundary for me that I have not yet forgiven him for. And I discuss this a lot, but just the idea, and I know it was out of this need to protect her, but especially considering that Feyre's trauma is this idea of men in her life, Tamlin, trying to protect her and going against her wishes and not giving her agency. Like that is the reason that everyone hates Tamlin. And then the audacity for Rhys to do the same thing and to make everyone else in her life also, like, he's their High Lord. They were not allowed to tell him no. The only reason Feyre finds out is because Nesta tells her. And I know Nesta doesn't tell her in the best circumstances, but the idea of taking away her agency as a pregnant woman and being like, you're going to die and I will not tell you, because we're like weeks away from her pregnancy when she finally finds out. She is 3rd trimester, the baby is coming, and Rhys is still in denial and not telling her. Like, it's not like it was like, oh, the 1st month of the pregnancy, like, I'm hoping I can find something out. No, we are at the end, and he's still being a little dickwad and will not give her what Feyre wants to know. And Feyre becomes heartbroken in that moment when she finds out that everyone knew and chose to lie to her to protect her, even though that is her biggest thing. And it makes me so angry. Nothing makes me angrier, and I can't get over it. I can't forgive him. He doesn't ever seem apologetic about it. I mean, he says, like, Nesta, I'm so grateful for you for saving our lives, but he never really, and I know that we're not in their point of view, so we don't know conversations that happen off page, but grinds my gears. It makes me irrationally angry, and I can't forgive him for it. I know. And then you guys are like, but we love him. And I'm like,
no, I think you're allowed to be upset. Like, obviously, like, everyone has their own opinion. I do think that, like, he just loves her so much that it's like, and with the whole Nesta situation going on in the background, he's like, I want her to be of sound mind because she's about to go through something crazy. And if I tell her this, she could die before this happens. Like, she's gonna make this worse. So, like, he is incredibly wrong by keeping it from her. But in his head, he's like, I can fix this, and it's not even going to be a problem for her. But I think that, like, Sarah needed a plot point to bring Feyre and Rhys into the Silver Flame story, and, like, that was her plot choice. Could she have chosen something different? Yes, but she made Feyre pregnant, which I don't love the pregnancy trope. But, like, she chose to make Feyre pregnant, therefore she had to face the consequences of what it looks like when someone who wasn't born Fae is gonna have a Fae baby now. And also, like, I get pissed off because it's like, sure, he has wings and shit, but, like, when she, like, became Fae, like, wasn't that just, like, in the cards?
No, it's because the baby is going to be Illyrian. So Rhys is half Illyrian. Feyre is 0 Illyrian. Their baby's 1/4 Illyrian.
And they said that when they had sex, she shapeshifted and was Illyrian. And so since they were both Illyrian, the baby was going to be Illyrian. And I think it's dumb that she can't just shapeshift back to give birth. Or shapeshift back, like, while it's still safe, like, while the baby's still, like, the 1st or 2nd trimester. And then just stay Illyrian until she gives birth. Like, I don't understand why she can't shapeshift back.
Like, it's like a mystery almost.
The fact that Magna, the house person, could bring Cassian back to life when his guts are spilled out but can't do a C-section. Like, it's just, I know it's...
She's my 11.
Such a...
I just think it was such a plot. I think it was such a plot pull from Sarah, and, like, that may be her fault, is that she's just like, this is how Nesta's character is gonna come to a conclusion and save the day. Like, with this pregnancy plot, like, it was linear to Nesta because Nesta ends up saving the day. So
But
like
what they could have
Nesta
done,
had to save something, and she saved Farah.
Yeah,
So
because she had to take away Nesta's powers too, which is
Yeah.
another thing that pisses me off. Like Nesta's end of the day saving thing, like could have been with the blood right. It didn't have to be this pregnancy moment, and I know that you
Yeah.
want to tie it to Rhys and Feyre to make her character like mean more, but we could have had it that they didn't realize that the baby was going to be Illyrian, because how are we doing ultrasounds in this world? Like, how do we know that the baby has wings, but we can't do a C-section? Who knows? But they could have done it that Feyre goes into labor. Everyone thought everything was going to be fine. She starts having complications. The baby's turned the wrong way. The wings are in the way. All of those same things could have happened. All three, like the baby, Feyre, and Rhys could have started dying. Nesta still could have saved them, and it been the end of the day thing. She chose to make Rhys take away Feyre's agency. She didn't need to do that. Why did she do that?
That's
So
a great
irritating.
question.
It's a very good question. Yeah.
Square up.
Come on, Sarah, get on the podcast.
Yeah.
She needs to defend herself before Aubrey never reads a Sarah J. Maas book again.
All right, guys, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much, Victoria, for coming on. This was so much fun having you here, getting to figure out our little character rankings, some of our hot takes.
It was very
I
fun.
love having you on the pod.
Yes. And we want to know what you all agree with most. What do you not agree with? There's a lot of hot takes in this episode, so we have to know what you're thinking. Where'd you put Nesta and Rhys on your
Yes.
list? And of course, if there's anything you'd like us to cover in the future, as always, please let us know. Our Instagram DMs are open. The comments are always open. Yeah, we'd love to know and hear some recommendations.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us.
And happy reading!